Well, welcome back to Rough Restos. Some of you may remember this car, especially if you're from the channel days, which were very early on. Now this was actually my first video, was removing this exact engine. And I'm pretty sure that was the last time it was actually removed and put back in. But this time, we're not putting it back in. This engine's going out, and it's staying out. Now, there's a reason for that. And that's because this idiot has decided to try and put a Mercedes 5-litre V8 in the Capri. Now, this hasn't really been done before. So, some of you may have seen a previous video where I removed this engine and talked about what my plans are with it. Big plans. Currently still a bit unknown, but it's going to happen. One way or another, that engine is going in this bay. So, making a start of it now. And I'm hoping for a new year, new engine setup. But I don't know how long it's going to take. And obviously some of you who have followed my recent content will know I've been quite heavily invested in fixing Range Rovers recently, so I've had to try put it on a side burner and get this going because I want my Capri back. This is the first Christmas in about 5 years, I think. Basically the first Christmas ever since I've had this Capri on the road. That was Capri, hasn't been on the road. It's never been off the road this long. And I want it back. So let's get this engine out and let's get that 5-litre in here. Well, there's definitely a bit of oil underneath here. Too much oil, so I'm going to be glad to get rid of that with the Mercedes engine. But I do believe we are now ready to take it out. There is nothing more still connected as far as I'm aware. We've got it all, made a right old mess everywhere, great. But she should come out now, with any luck. She served me well, but in the end, wanted a change. So, let's pull this out. Aha, right, Cosworth. She's sitting there. Good girl. Mercedes. Now, I've still got the 2.8 crossmember in there. I will be fitting a Pinto one because I want a manual steering rack. But I'm going to try and drop it in a minute and just see how it fits in the bay, how this sump setup here I've chosen actually works with the crossmember-ish. Just want to get a bit of an eye up really, to see how it is. So let's give this a go a minute. Quick test fitment there. She's tight, very tight on some areas. Engine mount's currently sitting on the steering rack. Need to chop all this out. Can't fit the air filter on a minute, so needs some adjustment. But hopefully tomorrow I'll better get the crossmember changed out and start looking at how it's going to mount and fit. But I reckon it's going to fit. She's going to be fiddly. Right, it's got to fit. So yeah. Okay, well, I've just removed some of the unnecessary bits from the engine bay to clean it up a smidge now, and chucked some degreaser in because it's an absolute mess. And I've chucked a bit of degreaser on this Mercedes engine because it's also an absolute mess. But before I bother to wash it, I might as well simplify it as much as possible. So what we've got here is the power steering pump, the aircon pump, all that's going to go off it, a few little heat shields, and that will end up going off in some pipes. I want to clean it up in it, and then I'm going to pressure wash the engine as well because I hate dirty. And this thing is filthy, so I need to sort that. I don't like it. So let's just simplify the engine a minute and wash it up. the engine looking a fair bit prettier now. Mostly cleaned up, no longer hideous, so I can actually work on it. It was lagged and grimed before, as you could see. But now she's looking pretty. And I'm still hoping that cover's going to fit under the engine bay. On the bonnet bed, that'd be nice. So that, I've removed the aircon and power steering pumps. So that's giving me a bit more space on that side now. Got to get a belt set up to work with this. I've just pulled out my 4-cylinder crossmember. So I'm going to try to fit that into the car now. And sort of I think go from there really. So I need to remove the 6-cylinder one now. And that rack and all that stuff. Get that unbolted back up in. I've given the engine bay a bit of a wash. A really harsh wash. To try and degrease it as much as possible, but it's taken off. This one's had a bad engine bay paint job in the past, really bad. But it's got multiple different layers, different colour paints, as you can tell. So that's all getting tidied up one day, but it's not a priority for this bit yet. Obviously I want to get the engine in and running first. So yeah, I'm going to get that done there, get that changed over, get it back on its wheels, work out what I need to cut out at the front here to free up some space for a new radiator system. And then we'll be back to work out how well it will actually fit. What I desperately need is a gearbox for it. Problem is, I found one, but it's probably going to be February before I'm able to get it off him. Which isn't ideal, but I'm just going to have to work with it. So I might have to maybe, once I got this sussed out, move my attention onto wiring and work on the engine, as opposed to getting the engine to fit, and just hope that I will be able to get it to fit. It's a bit backwards, but it might be the way it has to go for now. So let's crack on. Progress has been made. I got a bit au fait with the choppy machine, and we've lost a good bit of the front end. Now, I haven't got to hide it up yet, and obviously the brake pipe can't stay there anymore and all that stuff. But the idea has been done there. I intend to hopefully get a radiator to fit in here, and then build some kind of in one piece removable panel and section here, which the radiator bolts to. So maybe like a frame and a stainless panel set up. It just all bolts in there, and that'd be pretty nice and simple. So that's the idea with that. Yeah, the cross members all fitted, ready to try out. Engine mounts and such removed from the engine, and a starter put back in, and also remove the air pump and put it on a balance bar. So I think the plan now is to get the engine to kind of sit in there and support it somehow from the top. I haven't got any engine beams. I wish I had some now. It'd be so useful. But support it from the top here, so that I can get the car back up in the air and see from the underside as to what the situation is clearance wise. So, because funny enough, there's no guides or no help or no mounts made for this engine in this car. It's all got to be custom done and sussed out on the spot. This could be interesting. So the engine's in here now on the good old faithfuls, strapped in-ish. It could do it going back a bit further, I think. Definitely could do it going, well, I've got space at the front, but I obviously want the engine to be back as far as possible. But the MAF housing is now about to hit on the bulkhead, but there's plenty of space back there for the gearbox. So I think now the idea is to go underneath it and just see how we're looking. Here she is. So my current measurements and guesstimates, this is what I've come to. I've got a good 5-6mm gap between the sump and the steering rack. The engine mounts are currently sitting like that, so I've got space to fabricate some kind of mount system in there off of the Pinto mounts. So cut them off, fabricate something to fit there. What else we got here going on? I'm not sure the engine's yet tilted back enough. The only issue with that is there's only a tiny gap between the MAF and the heater bubble. So the heater bubble may get a few alterations to clear some space, because obviously, even if it does fit currently, when you tilt the gearbox, but the engine back to remove the gearbox, that's going to foul. So that needs to be addressed. Tunnel space, obviously I don't know if I've got, it looks like there's plenty of space, but without a gearbox I can't confirm any angles. See, this engine can't sit any lower in here because of a steering rack. So I can only hope that's going to work, but I haven't got a Mercedes gearbox. I might have to try find some pictures to see how they line up. The only way to make it sit lower would be to reroute the steering rack at a lower angle. But it's easy to do it this side. Joining up to UJ, that's not a very easy task to move it down. Okay, so I'm hoping not to do that. At the minute, it sits level with a cross member, which is like excellent. Exhaust valves on the steering here, so that's going to need some alterations to bring it out this side. And same with the exhaust this side, it's going to need a bit of alterating. The front, all the pulleys clear the front here, and so does the steer ARB. So that's pretty nice. Alternator clears nicely there. Nothing that side now. So overall, if I can make it fit like this, I'm going to be pretty happy. Height-wise, at the top of the engine bay still, where are we at? We are... Oh, I also found my H6 Allen key in the car. Height-wise, we are still well below the strut brace, which is good. Because if we're below the strut brace, we might still better fit the engine cover on there. I would say, from these angles here, that engine cover might fit. Depends on the cross braces on the bonnet, but I can't see the engine needs to go any lower, only for the gearbox, if so. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that so far. So this project is getting even more exciting now. We now know that it appears to fit. The only concern is the gearbox, and it does seem like I'm not going to find out for another month and a half at least, which is a bit gutting. But it does mean that instead I can put my attention onto wiring. So obviously once the engine's mounted, I'm going to be keen to get it to fire up, and then I'll be impatient. But I've now got the time to work on the fuel system and start wiring, set up engine management. I can run that engine on the floor because the starter can bolts to the block as opposed to bolting to the gearbox, or through the block. So I can bolt the starter on and make it run on the floor. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm happy with that. I don't want to go much further on making the mounts until I've got a gearbox, just to confirm things, because I might have to do major steering alterations yet, which I really don't want to do. But it's looking promising. So, if you're interested in seeing how this project evolves and turns out, and all the work is going to go into it, then why not subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop me a comment, tell me if you think I'm stupid for doing this, tell me if you think it's a good idea, share the video about, and with any luck, I'll see you guys next time. Cheers!